Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. This is just a quick summer roundup of the transfer business. We've had a few comments, a few people asking on Twitter if we're going to do one. So here we are. I'm just going to run through the summer transfer business and round up where we are after the first phase of the season. So off the back of last week's brilliant victory at Ibrox, I think we're in a really good place now going forward. If you'd have given us this list, as you can see on the left, at the start of the season, we would probably have said we were happy with that. We got players in the positions that we needed. There's some real quality in there too, as we've seen. Some exciting players that we haven't seen yet who come in late in the window. But I think the only caveat you need to add is that it wasn't done in enough time to give us the best chance of making the Champions League. We touched on it in the post-match pint after the Ibrox victory. Scoring the start of the season out of 10. I went with 8. I think Scott went 8.5 and Ryan went 7. I think the only negative for the club is that they didn't plan well enough to give us that chance to make the Champions League. We were put out by Cluj, who we're going to see again in the Europa League group stages obviously, but a team with a lot less resources than we have, and a team that we should be going past at that stage, European qualifiers. So that was the only disappointment. We've had a great start domestically. We're playing some great football going forward. We're scoring a lot of goals. We've scored 41 goals in 13 matches. That's a great return. I think you can see the difference in the team from Brendan Rodgers' style, which was very dependent on keeping possession at all costs. I think Neil Lennon really wants to change that, and you can see that in the team as well. A bit more fluidity going forward, a bit more direct if you like. I think Neil Lennon's team is happy to be out of possession and control the game without the ball as well as controlling the game with the ball. I think Brendan Rodgers' style was very dependent on having the ball as much as possible. So I think Ibrox is a good example, the way you can see that change in the team. We didn't have the ball for most of the game. I think even at full time Rangers edged possession, but even when we didn't have the ball, we were in control. We were defensively strong, in a good shape. We pressed well, and I think we're set up now after that victory to go on and have a great season. So to the transfers then, Christopher Jullien, we've seen put in a brilliant performance at Ibrox after a sticky start to his Celtic career. We were a wee bit unsure with the first couple of games, but he's got up to speed now. I think we're going to see a lot more to come from him. I think looks like he's got everything Neil Lennon wants in a defender, and I think he's really going to show us why we spent £7 million on him, because he's big, he's strong, he's dominant in the air, and you see with that performance on Sunday at Ibrox, he can be a real asset for us going forward. Ball and Golly, £3 million. At this point, when he came in, we still had Kieran Tierney. We hadn't lost him yet. Obviously, he's gone now. We've got Greg Taylor come in as well, which we'll touch on later. I think Bolly obviously had a sticky start, even more so than Jullien. There was a lot of Celtic fans, a lot of people in the media, pundits, journalists, who were sceptical about him his first few performances. He looked shaky on the ball. I think we've got to remember with these guys coming in from a different country, a different culture, adapting to a new team, the way the team plays, getting used to the manager's style, and getting to know their new teammates. I think we've got to be patient. And again, like Jullien, we've seen Bolingoli's best performance in a Celtic shirt at Ibrox on Sunday. So hopefully a lot more to come from him. He's got everything he needs to be a cult hero at this stage. You can see everybody changing their name on Twitter. Shout out to Hoyde for that one. So I think he's got everything that he needs going forward now to go on and have a great season. Obviously we know that he's got those defensive lapses, and going forward is probably the strongest area of his game, and he's still got improvements to make defensively, but I'm confident we've got a good player there if we're patient with him. Hatem Elhamed, probably the pick of the transfer business for me. I think when you look at value for money, and again prior to him coming in, a lot of supporters were sceptical about him. There was the whole Dudu Dahan connection with Neil Lennon, and I think we were sceptical about the whole centre-back, right-back thing. He hasn't played his whole career at right-back, and at that stage we didn't have any other right-backs in the door, and we really needed one. But from what we've seen from Elhamed since he's came in, as soon as he stepped into the team, he's been brilliant. But for a couple of lapses against Cluj, I think he's been absolutely superb. You see at Ibrox on Sunday, playing with an injury, nursing an injury, absolutely superb. A warrior, a battler, brilliant in tackles, great at when he's playing at right back. He's great at going forward. He can beat a man. He can get forward, and he can play a bit as well. So I think we've got a good player there. He's strong. He looks like a leader in some senses, and I think at Ibrox that was the best example of that we've seen from him so far. So I think he's a really, really strong player, and I think 2 million is a bit of a snip for him. And again, that strength at right back is so important for us. We've seen us have problems there, and for example at Ibrox past couple of seasons, we touched on at length, and in Europe we've been really weak down that side of the pitch. So Hatem in there adds real strength to that area. Fraser Forster in on loan, we knew all about him from his previous spell with his brilliant goalkeeper, huge in stature. I think Neil Lennon's got a lot of confidence in him, and if he can give that confidence to the defence, that will help us no end. Again, an impressive clean sheet on Saturday. I think defensively we looked in great control of the game. We dealt with everything Rangers could throw at us, and I think Forster can be huge for us. We've seen him in his first spell in big games in Europe in the Champions League. We know that he can play at a really high level. He's a fantastic shot stopper, and hopefully at the end of this loan period it can be made permanent, because he's at a great age for a goalkeeper at only 31. Next in, it was Moritz Bauer on loan for Stoke, another right back. Again, this is one that we weren't entirely sure about. I think the strategy of bringing players in on loan from England isn't the best in terms of the long-term strength of the squad, because we've seen it before with Benkovic last season. These guys come in and they've played at a high level. They can really add something to the team. It's players that we otherwise couldn't afford. But at the end of the day, they do have to go back. Unless, we'll see how the Bauer thing develops. Obviously, he's going to be here the whole season. We'll see how it changes over the course of the season. Maybe we can bring him in permanently at the end of it. But it's just good to have strength in there. We've seen him come on at Ibrox for the last maybe 25 minutes or so. Okay, you can't judge too much with less than half a game, but he looked strong positionally. He looked very good. He was switched on as soon as he walked onto the park. And to have those two with Elhamed, who we know is versatile, he can play at centre half, as we've seen that Ibrox when Beaton went off. I think Bauer adds that strength and depth. Having 2 solid right backs there is so important for us, because we've seen that area of the pitch cost us in the past couple of seasons. Next up was Mohamed Elyounoussi, a big surprise for everyone. I don't think anyone's seen this deal coming. Signed for Southampton last season for £16 million. Again, a player we couldn't otherwise afford. Bags of quality. I think going forward we're in great nick. You've seen the front four when Forrest, Christie, Johnston and Edward go almost another level so far this season. As I said, we've scored 41 goals in 13 games. So I think those 4 are really dynamic. To add Elyounoussi to that is massively exciting. We've seen Johnston play to a high level so far this season, but we've got to remember he's 19-20. Can he do that over 60 games? I don't know, we'll see, but to have that option of Elyounoussi there, who's played at a high level, he's at a great age, he's got bags of quality, so that will really strengthen that forward area of the pitch, and we need that coming off the left hand side. We don't have a great deal of strength with Morgan, and obviously Sinclair falling out of favour. So Elyounoussi is a great addition for us, and I think we look really strong going up the park. Greg Taylor, £3 million for Kilmarnock. Again, like the right hand side, we needed at least 2 in the left back area as well. We've touched on Bolingoli already. Greg Taylor coming in, played it really consistently at the Scottish Premiership level for Kilmarnock over the past couple of seasons. Interesting to see now how the game time is balanced between him and Bolingoli. Hopefully they can push each other. It's great to have that competition there. Again, we've seen last season in the games where we struggled with the gaps in the squad when guys were out suspended or injured, particularly when Tierney was out injured, it was Izagiri or Hayes, and that drop in quality for Tierney to Hayes or Izagiri was huge. So hopefully having 2 good players in there really strengthens us, and I think we're in a much better place to cope with everything that can happen to you throughout a season now, injuries, suspensions, whatever it may be. I've listed the development players separately. Obviously we've brought in a lot of these guys: Luca Connell, Jonathan Afolabi, Jeremy Frimpong, Leo Connor on the last day as well. That's interesting in terms of a strategy point of view. We've obviously criticised the club a lot for a lack of planning and a lack of coherent recruitment strategy. I think these guys are a nod towards the club trying to find gems, like guys who are just below the first team age. Again, development players is maybe the word for them. who some of them might be on the cusp of the first team, some of them might be able to get there in a year or two. But if we can get these players who we see real potential in, and hopefully we can turn them into great first team players, because I think the club know that if they get to a first team level in England, then they become out of the club's reach in terms of being able to afford them. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of those additions perform. Obviously, you think from initially they're going to be playing a lot of reserve football, but can they make a breakthrough into the first team at some stage of this season or next season? And again, having touched on the thing about planning and strategy, we've seen Moritz Bauer come in on loan for Stoke at right back. We've got Elhamed there as well. Jeremy Frimpong from Man City, 18 years old. Is he one that the club think if Bauer has to go back to Stoke next season, then he can come in and be a first team player, either behind Elhamed or to challenge him, being 19, 20 years old, whatever he'll be at that stage? Going to be interesting to see how that develops. But again, I'll round it up by saying, if you give us that list of players at the start of the window, we'd have been happy with it. I think we're in a much stronger position in terms of squad depth than we were last season, and I think we're really well positioned now after the great start to the domestic season and that win at Ibrox on Sunday to go on and have a great season now. When we come back for the international break, it will be Hamilton away and then straight into Rennes. The big news is we're going to Rennes, so we'll be there. We're going to bring you as much of the normal content as possible, hopefully full-time reaction. We'll have an Instagram story as well, so jump over and follow us there if you don't already. You can see below at Celtic Fans TV. We'll have an away European match day vlog as well to come with that. So the big games are going to come thick and fast once we come back for the international break, and I think we can really hit the ground running provided everybody comes back fit, given the strength that we've got in the squad now and the start we've had to the season. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week for the build up to the Hamilton game. Thank you.